Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Happy Wednesday. How's it going with you, man?
Yeah, everything's going good, thanks.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Did you have a good, happy, safe, fun Halloween with the family this week? Do you guys celebrate?
Yeah, it was good. We wanted to take my daughter out, but we still taught class on that day, so we finished up a little bit late.
All right, I hear you. Did you guys get to at least pick out any costumes? I saw Angela and Bruno had good little outfits going there.
Yeah, they had some good costumes. No, just my daughter. We dressed her up. She was a baby shark.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Awesome stuff, man. Yeah, always fun to get the costumes as they get older and older. I'm sure. Still, you're working with a very young one there, so probably doesn't quite understand yet what's going on when you do that.
Yeah.
But good fun, man. So thanks so much for joining me. It's very exciting, to get to always see your fights, and we got a big one coming up here. But I want to congratulate you on the last one, man. That was a big one too. Getting the belt back and everything, and redemption as well. So I mean, between those two things, Christian, like getting the title back and getting redemption against Oak, like, do you weigh one over the other? I mean, it was a great performance by you and a great moment, but are there things about it you like more than the other, like I mentioned?
No, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that last fight, definitely. It felt good getting that win back. Um, it's not so much redemption against Oak, not him as a person, but just the way that the whole fight went down. Fighting as hard as I could fight for 25 minutes, and then having the decision go the other way was very frustrating. So going into the rematch, I trained the whole year. I trained all year long for that fight, and to see that all the work that I had put in ahead of that fight was able to pay off was really a great feeling. And then of course getting my title back was great as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe more redemption against the judges than than maybe Oak specifically, right?
Yeah, definitely not planning on leaving it back to the judges.
For sure, man. And I gotta mention that then, of course, with Angela, who I also mentioned earlier, but like her last fight with JingNan, another great one. Like they're just made to fight each other. Really fun stuff there. But that one went to decision as well, and she didn't agree with it, and I'm sure that you might not have as well. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it because again, it was a great fight, regardless of how you feel. But just what did you make of kind of, I guess, the overall outcome of that one for her?
Yeah, well, I thought that was a great fight. Both of them they fought extremely hard, and of course, I'm always going to be in my sister's corner. I do feel that she won the fight, and if you just look at the fight, you see the fight in its entirety. I believe that Angela showed that she wanted to win the fight more. I think that she was, aggressively pushing to win the fight. Um, I think that Zhang had very good moment in the first round. Uh, you know, if it wasn't for that first round, the fight would have been Angela's 100%. Because I feel like from rounds two to rounds five, she was pushing the pace and trying to win the fight. She had a few good moments also where I thought she could have finished a few of the submissions that she had put on. She had one nice anaconda. I was hoping she was going to finish really close. But overall, just a great fight. Can't control what happens when you leave it to the judges. I've experienced that firsthand as well. So, if they ever meet in the cage again, I'm sure Angela will find a way to do it and find a way to finish her once again. But other than that, I'm proud of my sister's performance. I thought she did great, and I thought it was a great fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it was another one of those where like the fans maybe win more than anybody because it was another good one. So, just great to watch. And you mentioned it there. Like, do you expect a fourth one? It feels like you can't really go wrong with it, just because of how they fight and the fact that it was up for Zhang's title now. So it's like, well, maybe they could do the atom weight again, the equivalent of it. But do you think that could be possible?
Well, I think it's definitely a possibility, but then that also comes down to the fighters too. You know, if they want to fight for a fourth time, that's a lot of times to
Yeah.
fight one person. Um, so I don't know. I think of course, I think definitely Angela would do great and she would win if they fought a fourth time. But unless that's something that she wants, I'm not gonna push for it. It's only one of those things that if it lines up.
Right, for sure. And, she presented something interesting afterward, though, about, maybe she would like to see a change in, the scoring criteria and going to round by round because you guys don't do it that way. It's judged by as a whole, like you said there. Do you kind of, lean in one direction of which way you prefer? Would you like to maybe see it change in that more obviously Americanized style that UFC and most people do round by round scoring? But I guess just how do you feel about those dynamics of scoring fights?
Well, I see the benefit in both scoring criterias. I think that on one hand, if you look at one championship's rule set, it's really um, it's geared towards fighters finishing the fights. So the number one criteria is who is the closest to getting a finish in that fight, and then you go to damage, and then you go to control, aggression, and so on. But the number one thing is who comes close to finishing. So I think that where it started is they don't want fighters who are just going to go in and get a takedown, win a round, do that for 5 rounds. So definitely to um, it helps to encourage a finish. But on the other hand, if we were looking at title fights, 5 rounds where it's so close, you can see one person just dominating the fight and working their way all the way throughout, but one moment in early on in the fight, and then where they get dominated for the rest of the fight, it can be really controversial. So I think if you go with the round by round system, it's definitely um, easier to just break the fight down and be like, okay, we look at the first round. This is why the first round was scored this way. Second round, and when you look at a whole fight, if you're looking at a 25-minute fight in its entirety, it's easy to be split down the middle and to just have um, more room for arguments in a 5 round fight when it's judged as an entirety. It comes down more of the discretion of who's there sitting down judging your fight. So, I'm kind of split down the middle about it. Um, but, I'm not here to change any organization's scoring criteria. Uh, I've had my fair share of, disappointment with leaving it to the judges. So now moving forward, I just work extremely hard and try my best to finish the fight before it gets there.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about it, right? As long as you can
Yeah,
put the opponents away. And that's a good point,
yeah,
though, how you mentioned, like, there's just more time. There's more time with the 2 extra rounds, so it does make it a little bit trickier with more to assess. So who knows? We'll see if anything ends up happening at any point. But it's an interesting conversation to have always, that's for sure. But what is also an interesting conversation to have, Christian, is champ versus champ status and double champ status, which is what you're going after, man. And got a tough guy in front of you in Abbasov. So, I mean, just against him as an opponent, him as a champion, big guy. What do you make of this matchup for you?
I think this is a really good matchup. Me and Abbasov, we are both. I feel that we're both well-rounded mixed martial artists. I see that Abazov likes to mix up his striking and his grappling as well. And yeah, he's a strong opponent. He likes to come forward and just bring the fight to his opponents. And I like that about him. I think that's going to make for a really exciting fight for the fans. The way that the both of us fight. I don't see this fight going to decision. I think that Abasov is going to come right at me, bring the fight, and I plan on doing the same. So, um, yeah, between both of our styles, I think it's going to be a war.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. And I got to ask, though, like, why pursue the other title, Christian? I mean, obviously, there's the history implications and the accomplishments and all that, but you just won back, the lightweight one here. And, moving up for the first time, all these things, I guess, about it. Like, did they come to you with the idea? Were you like, let's go for some more history? Like, how did, what made you want to go after another title?
Well, I've always, ever since I set out my MMA career, I've always wanted to win a world title, and then next go on and win and become a world champion in two divisions. So that's always been a goal of mine. And after my last fight, coming away with no injuries, my I expressed the want to my desire to fight for a second title to move up to welterweight. And then in the welterweight division, it's kind of been sitting still for some time. I think the last time there was a title fight was 2019, I believe. I don't know if I'm wrong on that, but I know it was the same time I fought
Been a
Jiri
while.
Lapicus when I saw Abbasov fight James Nakashima. So it's been sitting still for some time, and I feel like it's kind of just in need of something to shake the division up. And for me, coming off of that fight, I'm ready to go. And the welterweight division kind of sitting still. Abbasov needed an opponent. I was more than happy to jump the line and take that fight.
So are you going to have to cut much weight for this weight class? Like, and how much kind of better do you think it will make you? Obviously, you'll have to cut less, but will it be much at all, like, for this one?
No, no, it won't be much of a weight cut at all. It definitely with less than 10 pounds, and that's very easy to just diet down and make that weight. So I've been fighting with and weighing in with the hydration system pretty much my whole career. So I've got that down. The weight's not going to be an issue, and really I wasn't worried about putting on too much size because I feel confident that even fighting in my natural size at lightweight, I think that I would be able to do just as well. But because I had a little bit of time, I just made a slight adjustment and I did put on the extra weight because why not?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't hurt in this case, so understandable, man. And another dynamic to this fight, though, is the fact that you'll be fighting in the morning because it'll be the Amazon on Prime show, right? And when I was talking to Angela about her fights in that same element, she was saying that maybe she had to adjust some things. At least I don't remember if she said training in the morning in Hawaii. You're just kind of trying to acclimate a little bit better to, I guess, help your brain not think about fighting at night or things like that. Have you had to do any adjustments in terms of the timing of training for actually fighting in the morning?
No, no, I didn't need to make any adjustments. And actually, here at home in Hawaii, we do all of our training in the mornings, anyways. So it's more of an adjustment fighting at night when we're used to
Mm,
training in the morning. But this won't be my first time fighting in the morning. When I fought in Tokyo a few years back, it was the same thing. The fight was played in the morning, so I actually really liked how that fight went, how it felt to fight in the morning. I like going in there, getting the job done, and still having the rest of the
right.
day. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, leaves you with plenty of things to get done with the rest of the time there. So it is fun in that regard. But it's interesting, man. Like, you've already accomplished so much for your age, Christian, and you're on the cusp of doing some more here with potential another title, and obviously a goal that you want to achieve. But I'm curious, like, do you have any long-term goals, or is it more of these short-term kind of things here where you're like, all right, we'll worry about this one and then on to the next one at a time? Or is there something like really grand that you want to achieve by the time that you still have plenty of time in your career, but by the time that you're done, a really big long-term goal or anything like that?
No, for me, I like to just take my career one fight at a time. The thing with this MMA career is, you're the most important fight is the fight ahead of you. So, one bad fight and it could all be over. One good fight and it could change your career entirely. So, um, yeah, I'm just taking it one fight at a time.
Yeah, very true, man. Very true. So a good mentality to have. And I wanted to ask you about this because a lot of people, I feel like when they mention, the best MMA fighters outside the UFC, this is always a thing, right, that fans like to talk about. And your name comes up a lot in terms of when people are like, oh, Christian would be a guy that if he came over, he would do very well. And I want to ask you about that because is that like disrespectful to you when it's saying like, oh, he kind of needs to be in the UFC, but we know that he can hang. Like, to me, it can be discrediting in a way, but is it flattering to you? Like, how do you kind of take it when you hear people mention your name in those conversations?
For me, it's just I understand why everything is put in that way because the UFC is it dominates the US market. And so when they have such a good marketing platform, and they're promoting that all of their fighters are the best fighters in the world, then that's going to be why everyone thinks that any other organization, the fighters are going to be less. But I know that if I step into the UFC, I can fight for the lightweight title, the welterweight title, and I feel confident that I could take both divisions. But you know, right now I'm here in one championship, and the thing about the MMA, the whole MMA scene is it's not like the way boxing is. It's not as easy to see, two champions from other promotions fighting each other because of the whole contract situation. So I'm happy. I'm happy here in one championship. They're treating me great, but I would love to go over and prove that I'm the best in the world across any organization. So, if one day, things work itself out where fighters can jump across promotions and make big fights like that happen, I would definitely be all for that.
And so would the fans, man. It would be very cool. But speaking of champion versus champion type of situations here between organizations, Christian, I gotta mention this to you because the boss man, Chatri Sitchitong, when he was on the MMA Hour recently, and he mentioned a story involving you beating up a RIZIN champion in training. And I just gotta ask, what is the backstory on this? Is it kind of just him blowing up, making smoke, or is any truth to it? Or what can you share about this training?
Um, well, the thing is, there's a lot of fighters that come in and out of my gym. Um, we have connections. One of my coaches, he's in contact with a lot of guys from Japan, so a lot of those fighters will come down. Now I do have two friends that are teammates that fight in RIZIN. So I don't think he's talking about those two guys because we train all the time,
Right.
and training between our teammates, it's like we don't keep score. So I'm sure it's not that. One of my I'm just gonna say the name just in case they're watching. Daichi and Koji. Those two guys, they both fight in RIZIN, lightweight and welterweight, and we're real close friends. They came up, and I'm there's no way we would talk about anything that happens when they come in. But there was another guy that came in. I don't want to say his name or anything, but he came in, and he wanted to train, he wanted to spar, and I guess we sparred, and it was just a little bit harder than he was used to. Um, and maybe that's how the story got
Yeah.
out. But when I train to train, but I also train the way I fight. So I'm not out there to hurt anybody, but I don't give anyone an inch either. So maybe that's how the story got out. But for me, I like to keep training just separate. Um, yeah, yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
That's
fair enough, man. Of course, it's training for a reason, but yeah, got out somehow. So just was curious, of course. And Daichi and Koji, they're doing quite well as well. Just got wins on the most recent card, so shout outs to them for sure. Good stuff there. But just speaking of all like these kind of fun cross MMA ideas, Christian, I gotta ask you, like, whether they're in one or different divisions or whatever, man, like, do you have any specific dream opponents? Or it can be past or present. Let's do both. A guy that you would like to have fought that's gone now, and then somebody who's still fighting, just across the world. Is there names that come to mind for you?
uh, I mean, like, there's been some great fighters that have retired, and the thing is, I mean, like, I wouldn't want to do something like that, like a call out, because of the fact that if they're retired, they've hung up their
Right.
gloves. The last thing I'm sure they would want is somebody calling them
Yeah.
out. But I have a lot of respect for former champions like Khabib, GSP, Anderson. I mean, I feel like those are three guys who are always going to be legends in the sport of MMA. But currently I'm always going to say whoever's the active champion. So if we look across, the only other big MMA organization across here in the US is going to be UFC. So we got the UFC lightweight champion who just recently won the title over Oliveira. I thought that he put on a great fight. Uh, and it was more of just a strategic win, in my opinion. I thought that he played that fight very well. And then we have the welterweight champion as well, who just won the title,
Yeah, yeah.
like, as well. So whoever it is at the time, whoever the current champion is, that's the guy that I would want to fight.
Yeah, totally makes sense, man. And but there was a lot of talk, while he was around, just left one championship, about you fighting Eddie Alvarez. At least the interest from both of you guys in making that happen. So, are you kind of bummed that it never did end up working out?
Well, in the beginning, once Eddie Alvarez was signed, you know, UFC champion, Bellator champion. Of course, he's a guy that I would want to fight. But unfortunately, he had some tough fights in one, wasn't able to work his way up to a title shot, and so that's why the fight never happened. So um, you can't make a fight happen that's not meant to be, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's just one of those things that wasn't meant to be. So um, yeah, wherever Eddie goes, I'm sure he's going to do great.
Yeah, definitely is what it is, man. But would have been a fun one. I don't think we can deny that. But the MMA gods, they're cruel sometimes. They don't let us have what we want to see, but that's all right. So, well, appreciate it, Christian. I will leave you with one last thing here, man, before I let you go. I always love asking fighters, if you never got into MMA, man, like, is there something else you could have envisioned yourself doing? Like maybe another hobby you had or interest before MMA, or still that you do have, but like if you never got into this crazy journey and career, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
I don't know. I mean, I started fighting at such a young age. I think that uh, I think it definitely would have taken me a lot longer to have started my professional career. I
Right.
think that it would take some time to figure it out. I don't know. Maybe I'd be a chef. I
Okay,
like
there you
to
go.
cook. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's always a very tough one, right? Because it's hard to think about it when you're just so focused in living in the moment right now, right? So I get that answer a lot
Yeah.
from people. So don't feel bad or anything, but all right, Christian. Well, very much looking forward to this next fight. I wish you the best of luck, man. Going to be a big one. All your fights are always very exciting. So I just appreciate you taking the time so much, man. And safe travels going to Singapore as always. And, happy late Halloween to you and the family. So appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
man.
All right. Thank you. It's good talking.